Hi, okay, so today we are playing the fictional memoirs of Harriet Wilson and her sister for Gauntletcon 2018. And this is a game designed to tell the story of the life of anybody with a scandalous story to tell, but it's most particularly designed to tell a fictionalized version of the memoirs of Harriet Wilson. Harriet Wilson was one of the most prodigious courtesans of her day, and when she became too old to attract men to lavish on her the kind of lifestyle that she desired, which was probably sometime in her late 30s, she wrote and published a scandalous memoir revealing all the details of her intimacies. And she published the memoirs in 12 volumes, and before each, she required payment from any lover who wished not to be included. So it was a dual income stream, the income from the memoirs and the income from the blackmail. So it was a good business idea. And Harriet also had 4 sisters who shared her unusual profession. Her older sister Anne and her younger sisters Fanny and Sophia. And in this game, each player will take on the role of one of the 4 sisters, but we are also going to share the roles collectively of the string of men and women that weave their way in and out of their lives. As I mentioned in the description for this game, this game is really a game about relationships and about how people relate and how they feel about each other. And there will almost certainly be sexual references in the game, but we won't play out any sex scenes because that's not really the point. It's about how people weave their way in and out of each other's lives. And it's also really about the relationship between the sisters as well, and their journey together. This is a GM-less game, so I get to do the fun thing where I set everything up and then I just get to watch it all play out. But that means, since it's a GM-less game, you have permission to make up whatever you feel like you need in the fiction, and invent and create within the boundaries of the scene. So that's something to note. So let's talk about safety at this point, and then I'll give you an overview of how the game kind of plays and we'll jump into it. So we're going to be using 3 different safety tools in this game. The first one is the X card, which I'm sure you guys have encountered before. So if you want to use the X card, we will stop play. We won't ask you why you use the X card, although we might ask you if we take the game in, this other direction, will that be okay with you? You can, to trigger the X card, you can say X card. You can make an X with your hands or put your hand to the camera, or you can type X card into the chat as well. And I'll try and monitor that, and then we will stop. The second thing we are going to do is lines and veils. So a line is something that we will not cross. It's something we will not do during the game or include. It's something we just don't want to go there. A veil is something that we can include in the game, but we're going to veil over the details. So, and then they did, and then this happened, and we won't play that out. But it's okay for it to happen in the fiction. We just won't see it on screen, I guess. And the last thing we're going to use is, I don't really know. I'm sure there's a formal name for this one, but I'm just going to call it timeout. If at the end of a scene, it was intense and impactful for you, and you need a short break before we get back into play, please feel free to just be like, hey, can I have a 2-minute timeout? And we'll just have a 2-minute timeout just to decompress for like a short moment before we jump back into play. And because of the content of the scene, it's about intimate relationships. It's about intimate relationships. Safety is really important, and As always, players are more important than the game. So if you are feeling uncomfortable, please, please, please make use of these tools. And we will try and be very respectful of how other people are feeling during the game. So what I want to do now is, in the Roll20 document down the bottom of where the text is, you can probably see these two things that say lines and veils. If there's something you want to, if there's a line that you have, if you just want to sort of like grab some text and stick it below there, you don't need to say it out loud, so we don't need to identify whose lines or whose. We'll just put them all in there. And again, if there's things that you would like to veil, just grab some text and stick it in the veil section. I'm going to pop mine in there. Yeah, so I'm going to give everybody a moment to do that as well.
I'm still trying to figure out how to write in Roll20. Maybe someone could help me here. So my line, yeah, child abuse, someone wrote it. Thank you. Okay. That's my line as well.
Didn't mean to double ping there. Oh, Roll20. Oh, Jesus. Okay, there we go. Now maybe it's just my mouse.
The text tool is really bad. It's really hard to line things up. But if we have them there in kind of a collection, we'll be able to see them.
I was wondering what that orphan T is doing there.
I'll move veils a bit further away so we can differentiate them and Coster. Cool. Has everyone had a chance to do that? Does anyone need a bit more time? All good? Cool. Yeah. Those all look like things that we would definitely need to consider for this game. So I'm really glad that we had the opportunity to bring those out. Right. And the last thing that I want to say before we jump into the game is this game I put 3 hours in the Gauntletcon descriptive thing, but does anybody need to need to rush off when we hit the 3 hour mark? Just to get me to? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Good. Then that's good to know. We'll really try and keep it to time. However, the timer of this game is actually luck. So it's impossible to know exactly how long it's going to be. But that just means that if we get in close to the 3 hour mark and we haven't wrapped up according to the mechanics of the game, I'm just going to basically force the game to end. So that's fine. That's all right.
I'm thinking that's the big
cool. So how this game works? This game is going to be played out in a series of scenes.
Companions
each person is going to take a role of a sister, as I mentioned before, and then we'll go through the sisters, and each sister is going to have a turn to frame a scene which explores something that's happened in the course of their life. Each turn goes so where this game, I should mention this as well, the setting of this game is loosely somewhere between 1790 and 1850, but I don't really care about historical accuracy. It's not important. As long as you kind of are in the flavor of the period, it's all good. Again, it's not really about history. It's more about people. Yeah, and so during your turn, so in the present time, that is when the sisters are writing their memoir. And during a turn, you do 6 things. The first thing that happens is that you will roll to see which lover is going to be in the scene with you. And if we haven't seen that lover before, then if you haven't seen that lover and that sister before, then sister will write a letter to that lover, basically demanding money to not be included in the memoir. So an example of how that letter might roll is something like this. Dear name, as you may have heard, I'm writing a memoir of my life in which you played so fond a part.
I thought it could be.
If you do not wish to be included in this memoir, then I will accept instead some substantial recompense for my description. Yours sincerely, whoever you are. But obviously, you're going to personalize your letter depending on your experience and relationship with that lover and your personality as well. After that, we cut to a vignette of that lover in the present day opening that letter, and we see their reaction and kind of what's going on around them. So that's the second thing. The third thing is, what we're going to do then is go into a flashback of a scene about the relationship between that sister and that lover. Sorry. Before we do that, there are some things that we will decide about that scene, which I will get to when we do it during play. And then we play out that scene until we're pretty happy with that scene. And when that scene finishes, then that lover will then decide whether or not they would like to pay up to be taken out of the memoir, or they do not pay up. And if they do not pay up, the sister gets to write a scandalous fact about them in the memoir, and that scandalous fact becomes true in the fiction of the game, because some lovers that, when a lover pays up, they're essentially taken out of the game because they're not in the memoir, and this game is about the memoir. And when they don't pay up, they're put back in the pool and can be drawn on again, but with that scandalous fact in mind. So that's kind of the overall way that the game plays out. We will keep playing out those scenes until we reach the end game trigger, or I just trigger it if we hit the 3-hour mark. And then when that happens, we finish off with one last scene in the present day between a sister and a lover. And that's the end of the game. So the first thing we need to do before we can get started is create our lovers. So if in Roll20, if you go into the journal section, you will see like the characters list. There's 9 characters there. We are going to 9 characters and 4 people. That's not correct. There should be only 8. There's 8 characters there. And what we're going to do is we're going to create the lovers collaboratively by adding some details. So I'm just going to go in the order that I see in the screen. So if you want to start with 1 and 2, Katie with 3 and 4, Leandro with 5 and 6, and Mark with 7 and 8. And the first thing that we're going to write is the name of the lover. And if you could just write that in the top field, the one with the number, if you just go in there and edit the text and just give us the name of the lover. And these lovers, they can be male or female or non-gender binary people. I don't really care about historical accuracy. Historically, probably they're all men, but I don't care. So it doesn't really matter for purposes of this game. They can be anyone who would have enough money to be in that position. So yeah, we've got name pop up. So I'll give everyone a chance to give us some names.
Do you want surnames as well, or just
surnames as well? That would be wonderful.
Awesome. Okay.
And if you could keep the number as well, that would be great. pronouns is a fantastic idea. Thanks for putting that in there, Mark. So if everyone could add the pronouns of their character they've just created as well, that would be great.
Okay, I think I'm done with the first two. Can you see that, what I entered?
Yeah, perfect.
Wonderful.
Wait, we've just got number 4. So once that one's popped up, we will do the next step.
Sorry, I was trying to find a name that I liked.
Oh, no rush at all. Names are very important. So that's all good. So what we're going to do, every time we do a new thing, we'll take a step forward. So if you were 1 and 2, you're going to do 3 and 4. If you were 3 and 4, you're going to do 5 and 6, etc. If you were 7 and 8, you go back around, do 1 and 2. And the next thing we're going to do is write an occupation. So if you go into the card, you'll see a little field for occupation. Just pop in and write that for the lover. And I've got to say, lady or gentleman of leisure is a valid occupation. So if that takes your fancy as well, that's a thing. There are some amazing choices going on here. I'm so happy with this. Awesome. So moving forward again, with the numbers that you have, the next thing that we need to add is their appearance. And with this, like, it's if you could just keep it short, just something evocative to give us a gist. Keep it to one sentence. It would be amazing.
Do we keep going down?
Yeah, keep going down. So if you were 3 and 4, you're now 5 and 6, etc.
I feel like when
and feel free to indicate age as well if you'd like to in their appearance.
It is.
But evocative descriptions are wonderful.
To accomplish.
Oh my god, aged gracelessly. That is an amazing description.
I'm enjoying reading all of these so much.
Yes, me too. Oh, and that's something that I didn't mention actually, but I will while we're sort of finalizing those. The other thing we can do during this game is something that has been called the O card, which is basically where when somebody does something that is awesome, you let them know. And the way we will do that is going to be through the chat. So if somebody's playing out a scene and something happens that you think is really cool or interesting, type it in the chat. Like that way we can also, as well as excarding things that we don't want to see, we can also encourage things that we do want to see.
So use the Hangouts chat or the Roll20 chat for that?
I think the Hangouts chat's easier.
Yeah, all right.
Easier to see. Awesome. Awesome. So it looks like we've got their appearance. And that is all that we need to know about them for now. So the next thing we're going to do is each player is going to pick a sister. And your options, as you can see at the top of the screen. So the sisters are listed here, obviously, in order of their age. We've got Anne, who is the eldest. She is fearless and jealous. Harriet, who's the second oldest. She is flippant and manipulative. These tags are things that are not necessarily true, but they're like what is thought of that sister, I guess. How the sister depicts themselves in their memoir. Fanny is the second youngest. She is kind-hearted, and in the present, she is dying. Sophia is the youngest. She's reckless, and she married rich. So if anyone has a sister that calls out to them, shout.
I've sort of been eyeing Sophia, if it's all right with everyone else.
Oh.
Go for it.
Then I would pick the second youngest, Fanny, if that's okay.
So my situation is that I find it really hard to roleplay manipulative, and jealousy is kind of a topic for me. So
if you would like, Sophia, I don't mind playing a manipulative character.
Okay.
I mean, it's up to you.
Okay, I would appreciate that. I would appreciate
no
that.
problem.
Okay,
no,
thank you.
None whatsoever.
I'm fine taking that then.
Cool. So if you just want to like pop your name in brackets after the character that you have chosen, that would be awesome. And if you really don't like one of your two descriptors as well, you can change it. You can change it out for another word. That's fine.
My brand is usually manipulative characters anyway, so it doesn't matter. I usually play a very bitchy, manipulative person, so it's just normal.
Yeah, it
The Talon is
can be a bit
given
of
to
fun.
the
Last time I
slowly
played this, I
age,
played Harriet, and I had a very
and
delightful
the
time
flow of
with it.
the
So,
river of time rewind.
Katie, if you're ever in a game with me, I'll let you take whatever character you want next time.
No, it really doesn't bother me. I like the idea of being reckless and young, but I also love being manipulative and maybe a little bitchy, so it's okay.
Okay.
yeah, and these are really starting points for these characters as well. hopefully we'll get to see much more to them than just these two things during the game, and we'll see what kind of person they are. So the next thing we are going to do is create some bonds between the sisters. And at this point, like, you're really going for what interests you. So you should be able to see in the middle of that text row, there's like a list of bonds. If you want to pick one of those for each of the other sisters, and so just copy them beneath your sister and pop the name of the sister they're related to. So in there, so for example, Harriet took what should have been mine, and you only need to do 3 in total. It's totally cool if different people pick the same one, so we could all have Harriet took what should have been mine. That's fine. I mean, no, it wouldn't be Harriet every time, but you know what I'm trying to say. Everyone could have the took what should have been mine thingo if they want to, but you cannot use the same one twice. Each person can't use the same one twice, but across different people, we can reuse them. It's cool. So yeah, if you could just pick one that you just feel in your heart describes. One for each sister. Yeah, one for each sister.
Lovely to have the
Ooh, lots of good things for Harriet. Harriet's got a good relationship with her sisters.
I think I already have an idea of how I want to play hers. She probably only trusts her sisters.
I love that. That's so
I
cool.
like that.
Seems to have saved multiple sisters.
That's what the oldest sisters, that's their job, right? Save all your baby sisters.
Yeah, as an eldest sibling myself, I know that too well.
And you're very fearless. Maybe that's why.
Can't wait to see this. Awesome. Looks like we've got these in there. So what these are, as well as like explaining the relationship between the sisters, we'll have the opportunity to actually flash back to when some of these things happen during the course of the game as well. Sweet. So that is all the setup for this game. We are ready to roll. This game usually starts with Harriet playing the first sister. Who is the current sister will be indicated by this. If I can pick it up, come on, roll 20. You know you want to let me move things around. This orange square. Katie, how do you feel about being the first sister? If you want to veto, I understand that as well.
No, I'm fine.
First one. And the First lover. Ike, do you feel okay being the first lover?
Absolutely.
Cool. Alrighty, and this purple doohickey will help us keep track of who the lover is. The sister one will just relentlessly continue in age order, and then go back around and continue in age order. The lover one will move, depending on how things pan out with the rolling, because sometimes there's multiple lovers in a scene. It will just, the next person will be pulled in as the lover, and then it will just keep going around. So the result of that is that we shouldn't have a case where it's the same set of people playing with the same sister all the time. It should move around a bit. But depends how we roll. Cool. So what we might do is, like, before we jump in, we might take the opportunity to take a quick 5-minute break now, so that we can sort of dive in and get rolling. So if people want to take 5, and I will see you at 45 past. See you then.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, let's jump into the first scene. So the first step of the first scene is to roll for which lover is going to be in the scene. So if Katie, if you'd be able to roll 1d8, 5. So that means we're going to have Logan Lockhart. So Ike, you'll be playing Logan. So if you want to take a look, refresh yourself on his.
Where is he? There.
Card.
Yeah, got him.
5. Cool.
The cobbler. Wow.
He's obviously a very well-to-do cobbler.
Yeah.
So the first thing that we are going to hear is a little bit of a flavor of their relationship. So Harriet, you are going to write a letter to Logan in which I guess you impart that information that I sort of did in my letter earlier about your forthcoming memoirs and the possible payment of a sum of money for exclusion, and a bit of a hint of what your relationship might have been like. So I will leave you to do that in your own time.
Yes. I think it says, "My dearest Mr. Lockhart, although I enjoyed our time together immensely and all the secrets that you imparted to me, unless you would like your family to know that the money you claim to save from your various business expenses has gone to my pocket for our time together, perhaps you would like to pay me one last sum to keep you from my memoirs. Yours truly, Harriet." Does it need to be more detailed, or is that okay?
No, that is wonderful. That is an awesome letter. I love that.
Manipulative.
Cool. So now we are going. What we do next is we're going to see a vignette of Logan receiving that letter and Logan's sort of reaction to it. So if you kind of want to describe the scene around Logan and what we see, that would be awesome.
Well, Logan is a cobbler, as we said. He's 52, tall and broad with bushy eyebrows. I imagine him to be some kind of Mr. Jaggers in Great Expectations character with those large eyebrows. And he's standing there in his, since he must be a sort of rich or very wealthy cobbler, maybe in his office, and opening letter after letter. And then there is this letter with a handwriting he doesn't know and doesn't recognize. So he opens it and puts on his glasses and reads it. And while he's reading it, we see how the color gradually leaves his face and his eyebrows just contract. And he's very upset. And he does that with the letter. He's not willing to pay. And he looks around and doesn't know what to do next. But he's furious. He's angry.
That is wonderful. Perfect. Cool. So now what we're going to do is go into a flashback between the relationship, to see the relationship between Harriet and Logan. So, Katie, if you want to, the first thing you need to do is decide, in each card, you'll see they have these little things that say beginning, middle, and end. So you need to decide whether you want to see the beginning of the relationship between Harriet and Logan, the middle of the relationship, or the end of the relationship. Yeah.
I think getting the idea of how Logan is he's probably a very serious kind of person, and maybe that bored Harriet. So the end of the relationship, I think.
Awesome. The end. That is a great place to start the game. Begin with an ending. Mm-hmm. So I'm just popping Harriet in the end part of Logan's card so that we've got that. And so the next step is to roll to see what the content of the scene is about. So depending on what you roll, that's going to give us a different result. So just to give you an overview of what the options are, we roll 1d5, and on a 1, the scene involves a conflict between the sister and the lover. On a 2, the scene involves genuine affection between the sister and the lover. On a 3 or a 4, the scene involves the lover, but it's really about the relationship between the sisters, in which case the active sister chooses one of her relationships, and we see the scene where that relationship was formed. The lover can be there for all of the scene or only part, and the sister could be there for all of the scene or only part. That's really up to how the active sister chooses to frame the scene. And then on a 5, the scene involves more than one lover. So we roll up a new lover and we see the dynamic between all three and how that kind of pans out.
So it was conflict, affection, relationship between the sisters. And what was number 4?
More than one lover.
More than one. Okay. Sorry, I was popping it in chat just so I could remember for my reference.
Oh yeah, sure, no worries. But I will also refresh you when you roll. So if you want to roll a d5, and we'll see what we get. A 3. So it is about the relationship between the sisters. So pick one of your bonds. You won't be able to pick Fanny because Fanny is otherwise occupied in this scene. Pick one of the other two that you would like to see. In this scene, this scene is when that bond sort of, like, we see that how that bond plays out. So we see how Anne saved you in a time of crisis, or we see how Sophia teaches you what it means to love.
I think I'm going to pick Anne, saving me in a time of crisis.
Awesome. So, Leandra, you are going to be in this scene in some way as well. Cool. So now we are going to play out the scene. So as the active sister, Katie, you are going to frame the scene, and you can let Logan and Anne know kind of what they're doing in the scene, and when, you know, if you want them to be in the scene in different times, that's okay too, and you can just let them know that. So you're kind of the director of the scene as well. Yeah, so I'll give you a moment to have a think about that, and when you're ready, we'll roll with the scene.
I think that it's like in Harriet's parlor or room or whatever that kind of area would be, like before she takes her lovers, that kind of thing. And I think it's maybe Logan has come calling and Harriet is refusing.
Impossible.
I'm sorry, Logan. I'm growing bored with this relationship, I have to say. No amount of money can interest me anymore.
Dearest Harriet, what on earth do you mean? Bored? Didn't you say me just yesterday that you loved me like you loved no one else before in your life? Was that a lie?
It wasn't a lie, but relationships, feelings change so
Within
easily.
24 hours. Harriet, what do you mean?
I can't explain it. It just seems like your interests have gone elsewhere.
No, I do not accept that. And Logan walks over and grabs her by the shoulders. I do not accept that. Listen to me, Harriet. This is special. You love me and I love you. We both know it. Don't tell me it's otherwise.
What about your family, Logan? Yeah, she's not fighting him or anything.
That was a heavy blow, so he takes a step backwards and looks at her. That's a low, even for you. I didn't expect that. We talked about it. I am willing to leave my family for you. I said it many times.
Dearest Logan, leaving your family, you've worked so hard for them. Just for little old me, it doesn't seem fair.
So, What does that mean? Am I going to see you next week? If you need a break, 2-3 weeks, I have a lot of work to do, so I can get back to you next March or April, if you like.
I think I mean what I said, that we're truly over. And perhaps you would like to see my sister Anne. She's just as wonderful as I am. She can love you just as easy as I did.
Didn't you say that's the old sister? I want you, Harriet.
She's not old. My sister's just as lovely as I am. And I think Harriet's already walking to like the entranceway. And darling, come here, please. I need you to meet someone.
Yeah, I think Anne walks in, but she's kind of already rolling her eyes because I think this is not the first time this has happened.
100%, yeah. And this is my dear friend, Mr. Lockhart. I think you two would get along amazingly.
No, Harriet, stop talking. And I imagine him to be a very violent man with a temper, so he grabs, I don't know, he grabs an iron and just raises it. You will not throw me out, or I will not accept this replacement.
I kind of step forward and grab the iron. And I'm like, Mr. Lockhart, please. Whatever you might think about our profession, we are women of grace, and this is a place of decorum. And if you truly love my sister, you would compose yourself.
You speak to me of grace, Miss Wilson? I've never felt more disgraced in my entire life.
Well, perhaps it's time for you to take your leave then.
Yes, I think you're right. But I will come back one day, and you will regret what you've done to me. No one speaks to me like that.
Perhaps my regrets won't cost the both of us.
Harry, Miss Wilson, I wish you a good day. And you too, Miss Wilson. And he turns around and opens and shuts the door behind him. And you hear his heavy footsteps on the street. And then he's gone.
I think Harriet looks to her sister. Thank you, dear. He's quite troublesome. I'm sorry I had to pull you in on that again.
I kind of sigh and put the poker back. I was like, seriously, Harriet, this is almost a new low, but let's not compare. Well,
I did learn from the best. And she just kisses Anne on her cheek.
I think that's a good place to end it.
Yeah, I agree.
That was such a good scene.
So good.
Oh, thank you guys. Cool. Well, we have one more important thing to do as part of that. So we flash back to that vignette we saw earlier of Logan receiving the letter, and we need to find out whether or not Logan is going to pay up.
Well, that's a good question. He's a violent man and he feels wronged, and he already tore that letter to pieces, and he's been waiting for that fight for a couple of years now, so he's certainly not going to pay Harriet Wilson anything. No, he's not.
Amazing. So in that case, Katie, you get the joy of going into Logan's card and writing in there a scandalous detail that Harriet includes in the memoir about Logan.
All right. And you want me to just make like a scandal part?
Yeah.
You
can create a new section, or whatever is easiest. You can just pop the text in there. And yeah, it can be whatever you like. But next time Logan is played, that will be true in the fiction. And that while you are doing that, I will move these along. So Mark is going to be the next lover, and Fanny is going to be the next sister. So I'm
feeling a little intimidated in a good way. Everything was done so well. I may be a little slow, but I just want to try to make sure that I get the right feelings and the right atmosphere. So please bear with me.
Yeah, absolutely. Take your time, and we're all feeling this game out a bit. A 1. So that is Edward. So Mark, if you want to open up Edward's card and kind of refresh yourself on what he is about. And when you're ready, Fanny, with the letter, shoot.
All right, so Fanny is the second youngest sister. She's not only kind-hearted, but she's also dying, and perhaps she knows it already, so she tries to write a letter that's not too unpleasant. She writes, dearest Mr. Fairbrother, it's been many years since we last saw each other, and be assured that I remember you with great affection and care, and our days and our special moments that we spent in. So what is Edward again? An explorer and naturalist. That our wonderful days that we spent wandering through the Kentish moors, enjoying the beautiful nature. And I will never forget how you recited Wordsworth to me. It was one of the best moments in my life. However, I must tell you a cruel and horrible, terrible secret. The doctor just gave me a fatal diagnosis, and in order to treat my pain, I unfortunately need some money. And this one time, I don't need to be very specific. The one time where we met in Canterbury, this one time should not be included in my memoir, don't you think? So if you agree with that, then I would kindly ask you to support me in my final days on this earth. Yours truly, and so on, Fanny Wilson.
Oh, great. So now we see a vignette of Edward receiving that letter.
So Edward is in his home, which he lives in alone, and he's walking about, and the camera can see different animals that he has. He doesn't kill animals, but he photographs animals, and or he draws them. That's what he does. He draws them. So he has all these drawings all over the place of the animals and the descriptions of their behaviors. And he just got done dismissing a group of well-dressed gentlemen that are there to learn from him. And it's not the way he would be an explorer or a naturalist, but they pay. And so he gets to live. And he's sitting down with his tea and going through his business papers and letters, and he finds a letter. Fanny, did you scent the letter? Did it come with a scent?
Yep.
Okay. So he immediately recognizes your scent upon the letter and doesn't even have to look at the front of it. He immediately opens the envelope and unfurls the paper, and he reads it over, and he grasps his chest while reading it. Is it because of your illness? Is it because of Canterbury? We don't know, but he grips his chest with pain.
That is so good. All right, so Fanny, you need to decide whether you want to see the beginning, middle, or end of your relationship with Edward.
Well, we alluded to many scenes in the Kentish moors and in Canterbury, so maybe we take that. And let's play the middle.
The middle. Good choice. All right. So now if you want to roll 1d5 and we will see what the content of the scene is. 5. Okay. That's
another lover.
Yeah, the scene involves more than one lover. So Leandro, you're going to jump in as our second lover. So what we need to do now is basically repeat that whole process. So if you want to roll again, Ike, for our second lover. Number 1, you're going to have to roll that again.
Twins.
Maybe yes, exactly. 5.
Number
Who's
5.
that?
5 is Logan. Oh my gosh.
Oh no! This is going to be terrible.
What a philander!
Oh no!
Well, that is absolutely
And that was his problem.
They had a history. Now we know. So that's actually fantastic. So so Leandro played in a scene with Logan. Now you are Logan.
Wow. Is this going to keep happening?
Yes.
I just keep taking on a character from the previous scene.
So we need to know. Yeah, we've introduced Logan already, so we don't repeat the letter scene. But we still need to know whether we want to this scene, which we know is the middle of the relationship between Fanny and Edward. Is this the beginning, middle, or end of the relationship between Fanny and Logan?
I'd say
It can't be the end. Actually, end is taken, so you've only got the beginning and the middle. Sorry.
Yes, let's say beginning. Maybe it's right after the end of the relationship between Harriet and Logan, and so the kind-hearted Anne steps in, and possibly.
All right. So, we've got 2 lovers. We've got one sister and one scene. It's over to you, Ike, to sort of set the scene, and let's go for it.
All right. So the good Edward Fairbrother, our naturalist, probably suggested that we take a walk through the Kentish moors, about which we have read so much in the poetry, in the lyrical ballad. Oh no, that's more Yorkshire. Nevertheless, which we have read in one of the Romantic poets' poetry, and which we love so dearly. So it's a beautiful summer day, and Edward and we are walking through nature. When we see a tall, broad-shouldered man with bushy eyebrows running over the hills, violently storming over the hills, shouting curses, damn that Harriet, or something like that. And it's inevitable that his and our way will, in a few minutes or so, that we will meet on our way. But maybe first we have a little, before he, approaches us, maybe we can talk about poetry, dearest Edward.
What did you find most moving about that passage? I saw that it gripped you with intense passion.
Yes, it did. The detail. Just imagine how he describes nature in this wonderful poem, how he pays attention to moss, to lichen, to the clouds and the sheep and the sounds and everything. It's so lively. It's like a tableau vivant, as the French would say. Is that right? Or am I being silly again, dearest Edward?
You say that you're silly, but I have found your insights to be educational. I do feel, though, that the poetry of nature can sometimes only be observed and not written. There's an act to participating that just can't be captured by the word. How do you feel?
I feel exactly the same. It is as if you use the words that I've been looking for all my life to express how I feel. Oh, Edward, who's this man over there?
Yeah, I can hear kind of shouting and just like in the most uncouth words, which I won't repeat here, because but basically anything.
What an angry
Damn.
storm of a man.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think
yes.
you hear "damn the Wilsons and their ilk" very loudly. And yeah.
Did he just mention my name, Edward?
Behind me, Fanny. I will take care of this lout.
Yes,
You,
I
sir!
hide behind your back.
You called down from the heavens pain which you do not understand.
Pain? You talk to me of pain? And I look terrible, like just and hair is a bit messy. And it's like, good sir, have you ever had your heart taken out of your chest and spat upon with such vigor and gracelessness? If that has happened to you, then you can talk to me of pain that only people like the Wilson sisters can inflict.
Excuse me, and I show up behind Edward's back. Did you just say the Wilson sisters? I know you. I've seen you before in my sister's house. You are that. You're not the opera singer. That's for sure. You are the merchant. No, you're someone, aren't you?
I'm a very dark shade of what's a good purplish pumice. There we go. I think that's purple. And
You're livid.
yes. But he doesn't recognize Fanny because I don't think he even knew that Harriet had sisters.
Other sisters, right?
No,
Exactly.
no, just sisters. I think Harriet just never told him, and
okay.
he assumed. Yeah, he never assumed because he was fixated.
But forgive me. My name is Fanny Wilson, and you look terribly troubled. You should join us. We are reciting poetry. This is the best medicine for a troubled heart, Mr.
And I'm trying to regain dignity. Lockhart's the name, but no, we'll stick to Lockhart. Very well. I'll indulge your suggestion.
Mr. Lockhart, I would ask, though, that you take this vitriol and you bottle it deep inside, because spreading it about can be fatal to the people involved.
It's just they did not think that it would be fatal to myself. Just the act of just lying to a person about their bonds, their relationships. Of course, he's forgetting that he has a family and whatnot. But it's a grievous wound, Mister. Sorry, I didn't even get your name. Sorry.
Well, now that we are composed enough, I am Edward Fairbrother, explorer and naturalist.
I think Logan's eyes light up because he actually does recognize that name.
And lover of poetry, I add with a smile to Edward.
Such a gentle countenance. if you don't mind me being so forward, Miss Wilson, it feels as though if I had met yourself before your sister, I would have not found myself in such a vitriolic mood.
I think you should accompany us. We are going to Canterbury. And maybe that's where we should end the scene, that little innuendo.
That's perfect.
Oh no, my internet dropped. I missed the innuendo. Oh, that's so bad.
Oh, please accompany us on our way to Canterbury, Mr. Lockhart. And we know that something is about to happen in Canterbury. It's a magical place.
Oh, that is so good. All
A
right.
place for travelers.
So now we're going to actually return to the vignette that we saw between the Edward's vignette, and we'll find out whether or not Edward does pay up.
So I have a choice to make then. So
Remember my words, fatally ill.
right, and that's what I brought up the vitriol part. I was like, trying to lay the ground for your fatal illness was bad.
Very good.
Bad aura. I think this dude is way too nice. So he's gripped his chest with pain, and he pulls out what he needs to write a letter, and he says, "Dearest Fanny, your illness cannot be easy to endure, much like the time that I have been unable to spend with you. I cannot foresee ever being angry with you for detailing the time that we've spent together, even the time in Canterbury, for it was formative for me. And therefore, please appreciate included in this package the money that I can afford." And he sends a letter with some money.
Oh, dearest Edward. Wonderful.
Oh, that's great. So now Edward has paid up. So mark that. So Edward is no longer going to be included in the memoirs. So if we roll Edward, we will roll again. And we will act. And so as Logan was also in that scene, we will also see a vignette of Logan. Again, making that decision whether or not to pay up, given the new information they have about what is included in the memoir, I guess. And this would be like the subtext of the scene is that Fanny has written a letter to Logan. We don't know what was in it.
I think I can't say no to Fanny. That'd be cruel. I do think, and this might be explored in a later scene, but I do think he had a much better time with Fanny. That's for sure.
So yeah, maybe when you decided, like, frame a little vignette and let us know what we see or what might be included in the letter if Logan writes one.
Okay. Yeah, it's a bit tricky. So after he's been Harriet's one, and he's read Fanny's one. Can I get an idea of what Fanny would have written to Logan? Just not a full one, but like just an idea.
Yeah, probably something along the lines of the former letter, like fatal illness, and maybe she recited a few lines of a poem that Logan and she once shared.
I think you're right. I think Logan writes back with the next lines in that poem as well. And I think he also sends a letter to Edward to commiserate and kind of reminisce.
Excellent.
Yeah, but I think he'll pay up Fanny. They had a lovely time in Canterbury.
Okay.
We all did.
So you can. Yep. Alrighty. So now the sister is going to move to Sophia, and the lover is going to move to Harriet. So, Mark, if you want to roll to see
Can we do the timeout thing that you talked
Yeah.
about before?
Yeah, and feel free to go off camera here as well. So we'll take a 2-minute break, and I'll see you at 24 past.
Thank you.
This is really such a good game.
Yeah, I'm loving it. This is my exact brand of drama. I love it.
Totally.
Yay! I'm glad you guys could make the session.
I didn't read the memoirs before, but maybe I take a look at them after the session.
You should totally at least read the beginning. They are hilarious. They are so funny.
Yeah, these sound like lovable characters. Very interesting.
Yeah, and I think when you read it, you strongly get the sense that there's an agenda behind it, which is part of the fun as well.
Very good. Leandro,
Okay.
are you in the UK?
Sorry?
Are you in the UK?
I'm in the island of Ireland.
Ah, okay.
Close
Because
enough.
you said it was 3 o'clock when we started, so I assumed you were in the UK. Okay. If I say anything completely wrong about British geography, feel free to correct me, anyone.
It's fine. We don't care about the Brits here.
Fair.
And the conversation took a Brexit. Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, Mark, when you're ready, if you want to
Okay. So
roll a d8.
roll a d8. Well, we've got 2 less. Do I roll a d6 or do we just roll a d8 or?
I mean, whatever you find is easier. Either is good.
Okay. All right. So I'm just trying to figure out how to do that. Is it like a slash roll?
It's /R space 1d8.
1d8. Awesome.
/R.
Got a 6. So I go back to the list. 6 is Matilda Descartes.
Fantastic. So, Katie, you're going to be Matilda. And we need to hear the letter from Sophia to Matilda.
Okay. All right. Okay. A wig maker.
Letter writer?
Hmm?
Is it my turn to write a letter? Sorry.
No, I'm.
Okay.
No, it's Mark. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
I just needed a little bit of time. I'm sorry.
No problem.
Oh, good.
Dear Matilda, throughout the time we have spent together, we have each worn many wigs. My collection from you are like idols in my room to be worshipped at. But for the moment, I must take off all of my wigs and reveal to the world the things that I have done and the things that I have done with others. You may find this to be troublesome, given your current situation. As such, please feel free to send me what you know to be one last payment, and I can exclude you from the words that soon will be on everyone's lips. Yours, Sophia.
Great. So let's get that vignette of Matilda getting that letter.
So in the description of Matilda, it says that she's a little too much of everything. So I imagine she's very dramatic and over flourish, that kind of person. And as she's reading the letter, I think her mind goes back to the moments that she'd spent with Sophia. And she's already wearing way too much rouge, but I think she goes even redder. A red color even deeper than the rouge that she wears. And I think that she sets the letter down and calls for someone to bring her checkbook because she's contemplating paying. She isn't sure yet, but she's having a moment to think.
Awesome. So, Mark, would you like to roll a d5 to see what the content of the scene will be?
Okay, sure. Got a 1.
A 1. So this is a scene
Conflict.
about the conflict between the sister and the lover, and you also get to choose whether you want to see the beginning, middle, or end of the relationship between Sophia and Matilda.
I would like to see a conflict that takes place at the beginning of the relationship.
Nice. Yeah, I usually try to remember to make people choose beginning, middle, and end beforehand, so that can sometimes happen organically. But I really like that as a choice. That's so cool. Right, over to you when you're ready.
So I set the scene between the two of us then. Okay. Why, if you're okay with this, Katie, why don't we start out just after, while in the bedroom? Like we can be on the
that's
bed.
fine.
And it, okay.
Perfect for me.
So, what? Let me see. What do you have next? Can you cancel? I'd like some more.
I'm not sure if canceling is the best option for the both of us. I do love our time together, Sophia, but I have heard about your upcoming engagement.
You know that won't separate us, right?
I would hope it wouldn't. It does hurt my heart a bit. The things you've told me, the whispers that we've shared through our moments together, just seems all thrown away now.
No. There is the face that we must give society, the wigs that we wear. But here, we are open to each other.
And I think she turns to Sophia and takes her hand very gently. Do you mean that? You seem so quickly to take this man's engagement, and it's broken me.
I have to do what I need to survive. And that has nothing to do with how my heart will survive. You are the lifeblood. He is but the cart that gets me from here to there.
It seems as if you cherish other things more than our relationship. I know that I don't make enough to support you in the ways you would like. It seems that you just don't care like you say you do.
And she pulls her hand away and she turns her back to you, and her body begins to move like she's going to start crying, but it stops. We can find a way past this. I can move past all this materialism. I can give it all up. And then she turns back and looks at you.
No, don't. You must support yourself. Women in this day and time, we have to do what we must do to survive. But I hope that you won't feel the kind of hurt that I feel if our visits become less often.
And she says, then let me mark each visit so it may be remembered. And she gets off the head mannequin and puts a wig upon it. Let this be the first.
Yeah, I think Matilda gives you a very soft smile and says, my next project will be dedicated to you. All the women in Paris will be wearing the Sophia by next season.
I would prefer to be upon your head alone, but do as you must.
And I think she gives Sophia a little sweet kiss on the forehead. And if that's fine with Mark, I think that's a good place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So good. Awesome. So let's see what Matilda's decision is.
So I think Matilda sits for a long moment and contemplates, and then thinks about her reputation in perhaps Paris, where people are more free and open. And I think she decides to not pay up. I think she tells herself that she wants these memories with Sophia recorded and told to everybody. She's proud of it.
Fantastic. That's cool.
She puts her checkbook away.
For now. All right. So that means that Mark, you get to write some scandalous detail about Matilda in the card there that will become true if we see her again.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to open up that card and just wherever is good, just write anything that you like about her.
Okay.
And take your time. And while that is happening, the sister is going to move to Anne, and the lover is going to move to Fanny. So, Anne, would you like to roll to see who our lover is in this scene? You'll have to roll again because Logan has already.
Yeah, that's Logan, yeah.
It would be incredibly funny if he hadn't paid up already.
His meeting with Anne.
The memoirs of Harriet Wilson about Logan. Like it's just Piers is ubiquitous. Yeah, and give us another one, I think.
Right, there we go.
2. There we go. So we've got Jules. Fantastic.
The doctor and his Jules Duchamp. Maybe he's French.
Sounds like it could be. Awesome. So when you're ready, let's hear the letter from Anne to Jules.
I think, let's see. I know how it starts anyway. I think it starts with Dr. Duchamp. I wish to commend you on the start of your retirement. You and I both know that you have worked so hard for so long in your career, and those who knew you well know of your expertise and your skill. But I do hope you also take heart your time with myself and the lovely events we both have experienced during such time as you were making your mark as a doctor. And I hope, and I'm writing to inform you that such experiences will become public soon in my writings, and no doubt such experiences will correlate with such times in your career where you yourself may have been lax in the care of some people. And Yeah, I kind of want to move away from cute, sad scenes for the moment. But, and I think I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave the insinuation there. Just like and yes, and I just mark it off as your always your dearest, Anne Wilson.
Sweet. So let us see this vignette.
Dr. Jules Duchamp is a doctor in his early 40s. It says that he has a healthy face, and as we already know, he's slowly entering retirement age, and it's beginning to show. We see him in his practice opening some letters and then opening this particular letter, and he says, "Ooh la la, what is this? Sacre bleu! Ha, I did never expect something like this. Mon Dieu. Oh. Ah, cette femme incroyable." And we see his face lost in the memories, smiling, and then he's wrinkling and frowning, smiling again, sweet memories, bitter memories mixed together. And then, like a true Frenchman, he says, this sounds like a good story. Like a challenge for me, Dr. Jules Duchamp, the best doctor in the entire city, the entire country. How am I to decide this particular case? I have to think. And then he sits down and ponders what to do next.
So good. Oh, I'm so keen for this scene. All right, Leandro, do you want to roll a d5 where we can see what the scene will be about?
Yeah. Oh, should I note when it is in the relationship?
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you for knowing how to play my game better than me. Yeah, do that first.
I want this in the middle.
Middle?
Yeah, in the middle. I want to see him at the height of him doing all that.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I would like you to roll a 5 to add another lover to this.
Shame it's a 1.
Conflict.
A conflict.
Ooh.
What a pity.
I know it would have been.
Quel dommage.
Yeah. With this dramatic mention, ooh. I think it's at his office. Yeah. I kind of want the. It's so weird. I kind of want the conflict to be inverse of the previous scene, where instead of let's see. The previous scene is like no, stay here. I think I kind of like the idea of it's the doctor who wants to like. Yeah, I kind of like the idea. It's like I think they're just. I think Anne is about to. It's already dressed up. And about to go, and she's being the responsible one, and Dr. Duchamp is like, no, appointment's not for another. Well, you decide how long it is till the next appointment.
Well, I could imagine the next patient is already waiting, but I don't care.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of hurriedly dressing up, and it's kind of like, Jules, our time is lovely, but don't you think it's getting closer and closer to the bone?
Oh, you English woman, what do you mean? Closer to the bone, is that one of your silly English expressions? Whisper it in my ear, but this time in French, dear Anne, ma chère Anne. And he comes closer with his ear and his glass of wine in his hand.
She can't help it. And she does a quick rolling of the eyes, but like, it's the French. She says it, yeah. And she's just like, I don't know. She says, teach me the phrase first, and then I'll say
Oh,
it.
le français, c'est la langue de l'amour. And you, my little bird, you have to whisper in my ear. And then he leans over and whispers something in your ear, in the hope that you will repeat it. Whisper it into his ear, smiling at you.
Oh,
We
I
have
think
all the time in the world.
you say that, and it kind of reminds Anne because she's the responsible one, always has been, and kind of draws back, and she's like, "I'm sorry, doctor, but I don't know what time you're working on, but we clearly do not. Even if we invent time for ourselves, we don't have. We have precious few." Yeah, there's coughing in the.
Oh, wonderful. Sorry. Ignore those voices in the floor shouting for the doctor. What can I do? I am the best in London and everyone wants to see me, Dr. Jules Duchamp. But my time is for you only, chère Anne. And why don't you come a little closer to me? And I tell you this little plaisanterie.
If I was kind of like, oh, for fuck's sake. And she leans closer. And she's just, if I'll give you this one last indulgence, but please, my dear Jules, if this carries on, then there might not be any more time left, no matter how much you wish there be.
Is this a good point to end the scene?
And I think you do the eyebrows, and
Yeah.
she does whisper and say it, and then she leaves.
Oh, I apologize to all my French friends. Sorry. It's okay
So
if you hate me now.
I wanted to make a comment about that, Aika. I like the fact that we can also think about this as someone is writing a book that needs to be sold, and therefore stereotypes, if they aren't included, people won't think the person is real. So if you want to play with stereotype, it's just as if it was written that way, and I think that's just incredibly smart, incredibly beautiful part of all that.
Yes, that's a good excuse. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so it's only the way that Dr. Jules Duchamp is portrayed in that book. In reality, he speaks perfect English and behaves like any ordinary English gentleman. Yeah,
I really like that. All right, let's go back to that vignette of the doctor.
All right, so we established that he was in his office. He was opening, and probably there are patients shouting again for the doctor, but not as many because he didn't accept as many patients the last time. He's about to retire, and he's so tired of all this work, and he knows that his last book has been published 10 years ago, and that he should probably go back to France, to Paris, or maybe to Marseille. He's thinking about that, and then he remembers those tiny little scenes. He looks at his chair, and he knows what he's done in that chair with Anne, and he smiles again. He pours himself a glass of wine, and then he nods and says, "She was worth it, and I'm rich anyway. Yeah, but I would love to see what she writes about me. Should I pay or should I not? Oh, she is a true poet, and in her book I will be immortalized. So I won't pay. This is me, Dr. Jules Duchamp, being immortalized by a wonderful, beautiful lady." And he sits down and enjoys his glass of red wine.
Awesome. So, Leandro, you get to write a scandalous thing about the doctor. in that card. And the sister, we're back around to Harriet, and the lover moves to Mark. So, Katie, would you like to roll to see who we're going to see in this scene? Okay, we're going to go AFK. We'll come back in 1 minute.
Oh, just me. Just grab a bottle of water and then
okay,
back.
no worries. Well, we might push on with the rolling then.
Yeah.
Cool.
I rolled Josephine Valance.
Josephine Valance. Awesome. And yeah, when you're ready with your letter.
The first singer. My dearest Josephine, the last time I saw you sing, my heart was taken by you, just as I told you it was every single time we met. Sometimes when I'm alone, I can still hear your voice and the sounds that you saved only for me, that you never let anyone else hear. I trust. I hate to inform you of this in such an informal way, but I'll be writing a book soon, and if you would like to keep your reputation pure and perhaps continue to be the songbird that you are, maybe 10% of your last ticket sales could come my way. Yours, Harriet Wilson.
Great. Let's see that being received.
So, let's get into this. Josephine. Josephine is always on tour, it seems, but she returns every so often to her residence, an apartment that she keeps, a flat. They use the word for downtown London, and in it are waiting for her packages of fan letters, because that's all that she gets, right? She doesn't have time for anyone, and she pays someone to sort them out, and they are all piled in the flat in a certain way. But one of them is waiting for her on her desk, and this is an oddity. None of them are waiting for her on her desk. She can pick them however she'd like. There's a short note that says, "Could not determine which pile to put this in." And she takes the letter and looks at it. Katie, what's on it that makes it so much different from fan letters? What?
I think Harriet has a specific seal that she uses, on a wax seal that she uses. She goes out of her way to get this beautiful gold wax, and the seal is a very, it's like a W, it's an H and a W sort of together in this calligraphy that I think Josephine would recognize.
Okay.
And it's very high quality parchment. Like, Harriet doesn't skimp out on this parchment that it's probably wonderfully handmade and laid. And I think it actually has, it's laid with little flowers in the parchment, actually, like little flower petals.
So Josephine looks at the letter, and then flips it over and looks at the seal and puts it back down on her desk. And she goes over to the kitchen and she gets some water. She stares at her desk. And minutes later, she's changed clothes twice, but she's back to where her office is, and she's just angry. There's just something boiling up in her. And she goes over to one of the piles of fan letters and just kicks it, knocks it all over. And she finally says, "Ah!" Calms herself down. And as if she were walking on stage, she walks over to her desk, reads the letter, and her eyes just twist just a bit. Is she insulted or is she intrigued?
Nice. All right. So, are we going to see the beginning, middle, or end of this relationship?
I think middle.
Cool.
The climax, you might say.
Yeah, the climax. Nice. So, 2, affection.
Oh, cool. Affection. A scene of genuine affection between the sister and the lover.
We haven't had that one yet, right? Yeah.
First time.
So I think that this is because you said that Josephine is always on tour.
Yes.
I think that this is a moment that I like to imagine, if it's okay with you, Mark, that Josephine always like writes to Harriet like a week or two before she's going to be in town. And Harriet hasn't responded, but as Josephine is coming off stage from a beautiful performance, back to her dressing room, Harriet is there in her finest clothes, her hair done beautifully. She looks her best, and she's holding a very large bouquet of roses. And she says, "My darling Josephine, I apologize for not writing back to you. I've been horribly busy, but it was the most beautiful you've ever performed." And she hands the bouquet to you. Just this genuine smile on her face. Like she's telling it's true. This is a true moment from Harriet.
Josephine takes the roses and quietly pushes the door closed behind her and twists the lock and breathes in deeply, so deeply from the roses. And she says, "Never do they ever compare to you."
You flatter me, but this night is not about me. It's about you. You're taking over the world, it seems, with your voice. People talk about you. The moment that you were rumored to even be performing here, tickets sell out. You don't want to know what I had to do to get a seat to see you.
You shouldn't have had to have done anything. A simple letter. You and all your sisters could have been here.
I think she walks over to Josephine and just gently caresses her cheek. You know my profession. It's been busy lately, and I didn't want to take any attention off of you. I know that you're busy as well. This is a very trying occupation that you have. You never get to settle down. You never get to enjoy yourself. You're always working.
Well, I will share with you a little secret. Out there, as free as I might seem, I'm in chains. But in this room, I am the queen.
Well,
Won't you rule this room with me for but a moment?
always. There's no other court I'd rather be in than with yours. It warms my heart to have a moment with you, knowing that perhaps while you're alone on the road, you think of me and no one else.
Ever it is so. And she takes your hand and she pulls you along. She puts the flowers down on her table and she's like, "I have a gift for you." And she hands you this golden wax and she says, "Use these for your seals in the future, that I might know that your letter immediately."
She takes it and very softly takes it from your hands and like caresses your hands as well as she's taking the gift. And you see genuine affection and care for this gift in her eyes as she looks at this. Is the most beautiful. You know me so well. You know how I enjoy writing letters to you. Thank you so much for this. And she kisses your cheek very, very gently. And sort of like holds the gift very close. You can tell maybe a lot of the gifts Harriet gets aren't genuine. And she feels yours is.
Come now, help me with this dress. And I think the scene ends there.
I love that.
So good.
What a good callback. I love it.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, let's jump back into that vignette.
So what happened after the climax that made her so angry? Oh my goodness. Oh boy. Oh, there's only one way to know. There's only one way to know. Dearest Harriet, ever it has been my habit to let you know my comings and goings, where I will be performing. And after years of an empty seat staring at me from the audience, I hear from you once again. Well, let me tell you about the next month of my schedule. On Monday, I will be at your door. And if you do not answer, please imagine 30 more instances of this. See you soon, Josephine.
Wow.
All right. So let's get a scandalous fact about Josephine in there. What a letter. Oh, so good. All right. Well, I think we need to take a really quick break because I want to pack as much drama in here as we can in our final hour. So let's take a maybe a 3-minute break till 7 past, and then we will head on forward to the next scene. See you then.
Haley, are you planning on releasing this game? Because it is so good.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. Yes, we will release it at some point.
I understand that.
Yeah, later this year, probably in a couple months, 2-3 months. Yeah, I'm happy with how it's been panning out in playtesting. So,
I have some friends that I just know would love it. It's so good. I played Good Society the other day for the first time, and it was really, I enjoyed it a lot. And the people I played that with, I know they would love this kind of game. So it was
cool,
really good.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, well, it will definitely be released. So yeah, once we've sort of got it, we'll be
of course, yeah.
Sweet. Alrighty, let us go onwards. So we are going to have Fanny, and we are going to the lovers moving to Anne. I've marked the lovers that we haven't seen yet in the game as we're not going to use them, just because we're going to run short on time, and it's more fun to reuse the people who we already met, which saddened my heart because they both sound like amazing characters. But it'll be good for us to see other angles of the people that we know so far, I feel. And with that said, Fanny, roll us up a lover. I'm never going to get to use that expression again outside of this game.
So still a D8.
Yeah, I think we'll just re-roll.
Okay.
All right.
2. Who's that?
Yeah, that's the doctor.
Oh, Jules Duchamp. Encore une fois.
Oh no! All right.
Awesome.
Sorry,
I need to compose myself. I have to follow that.
So that's your thing, Leandra. You've played both sides of both lovers each time.
Yeah. So take a little bit. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. Cool.
Both with Mike as well.
That's so funny. Sweet. So we don't need to see the vignette because we already have met the doctor. So, but maybe we will still get a little bit of an understanding of what Fanny wrote in her letter. If you want to give us an idea of that.
Well, as we know, Fanny is dying and the doctor is a doctor. So maybe she tells him about her condition, and she mentions his best known colleague in London who gave her the diagnosis and said the word fatal, and that he as a doctor now knows that very little can help her, and that she has to take care of her 3 sisters and she must make sure that they are financially well off. She's sure that he will understand that she needs to ask him for money, as embarrassing as it is. And of course, she ends with a few lines by Baudelaire, and yours forever, loving Fanny, something like that.
Maybe it's in the original French that he had taught her.
Yes.
And do you want to see the beginning or end of this relationship?
Oh, this is a very good question. So we had the doctor that was in the middle, right? In the last scene. So beginning or end. I would like to see how the doctor picks his love interests. So maybe the beginning. Or
sounds
maybe
good.
See how he is picked.
Haha, true. And would you like to roll to see the content of the scene?
Yes. Roll 1d5. And it is a 5, another lover, of course.
Hey! All right. Roll us up. Who is going to be the second person in this scene? I like that our double lover scenes have also both been beginnings. Oh, no, one was in the middle. No, that's a lie. I take that back.
Number 7 is not used.
Oh,
Shall I roll again?
Yeah, roll again.
Number 4, let me have a look.
Also not used. Maybe do roll a d4. That's probably easier. I should probably just
4.
Juliet.
Have we seen?
Oh, we haven't seen Juliet. No, we haven't seen Juliet.
No.
Oh well.
Shall I roll again, or shall we just take Juliet?
I'm gonna throw that to Katie.
It doesn't matter to me. I can. It's up who you guys want to see.
Do you want to see someone new, or do you want to see this as someone we've seen before? I guess we actually haven't seen that many. So the first number rolled was a 4, wasn't it? So do you want to choose between Theo or Juliet, and I'll take the other one out of the game? Katie, you can have a pick.
I like the idea of Theo. You're gonna play Theo, yeah.
Cool. All right, I'll take.
Even though I love the description for Juliet.
Yeah, the description is so good. I think that's a good pick. I think Theo's a bit of a different character to what we might have seen so far. Cool. Alrighty. So we need to see a letter from Fanny to Theo.
Let me see. So Theo Deli is a wine merchant in his early 30s, dresses smartly, uses cane for bad knee.
They.
Oh yeah, thank you. They. Dear Mr. Deli, remember all the times you were talking to me about your bad knee and how it made your everyday life painful to you? Well, it seems like I have a pain myself. In fact, it's a fatal illness. And I wish I could use a simple cane to help that illness. But the pain is there to stay, and forgive me if some of these words are illegible. I cry while I write this because it forces me to add another pain to your life. I must ask you for some financial support. I am, you understand, in the process of writing a memoir of many encounters I had in life, and also the one evening where we sat at the Thames and you told me your little secret. I am sure that secret should stay a secret, and you don't want to see it included in my memoir. Oh, dearest Mr. Deli, forgive me this impertinent behavior. It pains me, and I hope you can find forgiveness in your heart. Yours forever, truly, Fanny Wilson.
Awesome. Let us see that vignette.
I think Theo is taking a break from sort of surveying the wines that were made for the day, and they get this letter, and as they read it, I think their heart sinks. One, because they enjoyed their time with Fanny, and they're genuinely heartbroken that Fanny has this illness. And two, because Fanny mentioned their secret. And I think it breaks Theo's heart that Fanny, of all people, would stoop so low to because I think Theo knows Fanny's sisters and would never think that Fanny would do such a thing. And I think that Theo thinks of his secret, which I have in my mind, is like maybe an illegitimate child from somewhere. And they told that to Fanny in like a moment of, you know, vulnerability, that was a life they ran away from. They didn't want that life or something. And I think that's what Theo thinks of as they contemplate. And I think they begin to pull out their own stationery to write a response to Fanny.
Awesome. Yeah, over to Fanny.
Okay. So remind me again. So it's Jules Deschamps, and we said the beginning of their relationship.
Yeah, all right. And you need to pick whether it's the beginning, end, or middle of the relationship with Theo.
With Theo. I would imagine it is maybe the maybe the beginning of the relationship with Jules Deschamps is the end of the relationship with Theo. Yeah. Now D5, correct?
You don't need to roll again. We already know it's a scene with two lovers. So when you are ready, you can. You've got enough stuff to think about already.
So, wow. If it's the end with Theo, I mentioned the Thames, so maybe we are just sitting on a bench, watching the boats, the ships on the Thames, and listening to the sound of the waves and the seagulls in the air. But since it's the end, we've been silent for a couple of minutes. And Jules Deschamps, he can enter at possibly any point he wants to. Fanny looks at them and says, well, here we are on this beautiful day, and you haven't said a word since the bell of St. Paul's rang the last time. What does that mean?
I feel like the air between us is heavy. And it's almost too much to carry for one person alone.
Is it something that I said to you?
No. I worry that revealing my past might scare a woman like you or make you think less of me.
The only thing it did is to make me feel more compassionate, more I really want all the best for you, and I want you to build up a healthy relationship with that child. I mean, it's God's gift to you. You shouldn't throw that away.
I'm not sure that... Is it wrong of me to not consider it a gift? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. It is a gift. You know that. Deep down in your heart, you know that it's a gift, and there is no greater gift on earth.
Perhaps you're just too kind-hearted for someone like me, Fanny. My life, I did not want that sort of tie into my life. I prefer to make my choices without being tied down to someone, especially a family. Though I can see why family is important to you, I respect your viewpoints.
I would be nothing without my sisters. Family is truly the most important thing, not your business. But I guess I've mentioned that before, haven't I?
Many times. And I think they sort of chuckle and, pat the top of your hand, just very, very sweetly. I think the bells probably ring for like hour. I think perhaps it's time I take my leave. I have enjoyed all of our moments together, Fanny. I hope you know that.
I do know that, and of course you have a business to attend to. I know that's on your mind all the time.
It is.
It's such a pity.
Perhaps one day I'll change my viewpoint.
You know where to find me.
It was wonderful knowing you, Fanny. And I think they stand up and adjust their outfit, and you see them sort of walk away as proud as they can manage, on using their cane, their shoulders high. And you still see that. I think Theo well enough to know that when they're in like a moment of emotional turmoil, that their limp is more prominent. And I think you notice that as they walk away.
I draw forth a handkerchief and dry my tears, and I'm deeply shaken sitting there watching the waves, shaking my head. I can't believe that they don't value that child the way they should. There I sit alone on the bench.
Hear a voice going, Mademoiselle?
Oh.
And there's a handkerchief, a fresh handkerchief being, away from your face or being offered.
Oh, thank you so very much, Mr.
2 shots, but please call me Jules. Forgive me for intruding, but it seems such a flower such as beautiful as yourself should not have been left alone in this most glorious of nights.
You are French, Mr. You are French, Jules. It's that's so amusing. This morning I was reading French poetry, and I thought how wonderful it must be to see the streets of Paris. Thank you for the handkerchief.
You read poetry. Do you know
Yes.
Baudelaire?
Baudelaire. I love Baudelaire. Every single line is a revelation. Every single line is like it's written by a higher power.
Then permit me to quote a few lines in your tongue, so that might be appropriate for your situation. Be always drunken. Nothing else matters. That is the only question. If you do not feel the horrible burden of time weighing on your shoulders and crushing you to the earth, be drunken continually. Drunken with what? With wine, with poetry, or with virtue, as you will. But be drunken.
She remembers that she just waved goodbye to a wine merchant, and then this Frenchman shows up talking about being drunken and drunken with poetry and life. And she smiles at him and returns the handkerchief. Jules, shall we enjoy the night together?
It would be my honor, mademoiselle. Forgive my impertinence. I've not even asked for your name.
My name is Fanny Wilson. But please, Jules, repeat that poem again. This time, in your own tongue.
And he
And
does.
then we probably see them walking down the Thames, and fade to black.
If I could add, I think that there's a moment when Theo turns around just to have one last look at Fanny, but sees Fanny talking to Jules, and they sort of make up, yeah, it's over. They sort of make up their mind. You know, there's no chance going back to that. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Well, that's so good. All right. Well, let us see the doctor's choice first.
Okay, so I think the letter that Jules writes back is that, my dearest Fanny, as someone who is somewhat acquainted with seeing the loss of others, I know very well your predicament. But unfortunately, your sister has already written, and I had permitted myself. I had chosen myself to be immortalized in your words. So let me offer my next best gift. Let me offer you my time. I'm just about to wind down my practice, and I find my schedule to be more open than it once was before. So let me see about taking care of yourself for one last time. Yours, Jules.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
And Theo.
I think Theo, it takes Theo a bit of time to get up, maybe even like the courage to respond to Fanny, but they finally write a letter. Dear Fanny, what I said beside the Thames was true. I cherished every moment with you. I would like you to know that though I have not made myself known in my child's life, I do support them anonymously, so at least they will have a good upbringing and be able to live a life that I wasn't able to. And do what you wish with my story. It's your choice. But I enclose this money to take care of you, not my name. And I think that's what they write back.
Awesome.
Very
So
good.
that's great. So we just need one scandalous fact for the doctor, another one for the doctor.
This doctor is just wonderful.
Okay, let me see. Scandals. Am I allowed to read the first scandal out loud?
Yeah,
Bit
yeah,
exaggerated?
absolutely.
Okay, so the first scandal, bit exaggerated, but often skipped out on appointments to conduct his affair with Anne. Oh. Okay. Okay, let me think of a second scandal.
In the meantime, I will move this forward to Sophia for our sister. And the lover comes back around to Fanny. So, Mark, would you like to roll us a D4 now, I think, or a D3, actually. A D3 for our lover. 3. Wait, that is Matilda. Cool. And we have already seen Matilda, but it would be great to get an idea of what Sophia wrote to them in the letter.
Didn't we see the Sophia and Matilda already together?
Oh, yes, we did actually. So we already know that. Cool, awesome. So we can jump straight into the scene. Thank you for pointing that out. So do we want to see the middle or the end of this relationship we have seen begin?
Oh wait, sorry, no, that's Matilda. Oh, wait, oh yeah, Matilda. Sorry.
Yeah, you're
I was
right.
confused.
Sorry, I
Saw
was
the
Quite right.
I have an idea for the ending, so I'd like to go for end, please.
Ending. Cool. The middle is not important. And great. And you can roll a d5 to see what this scene is about.
Okay. One. Another conflict,
Another conflict.
which is perfect because. So who gets to play Matilda? Who am I working with? In this scene?
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Oh no.
You're on again.
Okay. Oh wow. Conflict and who is that? Matilda.
Matilda. Yeah, and have a look at the scandal as well, because that might come up.
Okay.
In
Oh,
the
the
end of
wig
scene too.
maker.
Yeah.
Yes, wearing a little too much rouge and makeup, and so the scandals. She spent a week in Paris with 2 courtiers on retainer. Oh, one of whom was Sophia.
She
Oh.
always does too much. Sophia wasn't enough for her, so that's why I wrote in that last one. But
Ooh.
so we're gonna have a conflict.
Mhm.
I give you permission to say the meanest things you want to say to me. Okay?
And remind me again, was it beginning, middle, or end?
We're doing the end of the relationship.
The end. Conflict and perfect.
So, I'm in a room, sitting in front of a large mirror, and there are many people around me, and I shoo them away, and I call for Matilda, for my wig, for my wedding. I'm in a long, flowing wedding dress. So
She enters the room, icy stare, and she looks at you and doesn't say a word. She puts on the wig on your head and tries to adjust it, but she isn't very careful, and it pinches you here and there and even hurts you. But she still doesn't say a single word, just looks at you in the mirror.
can you not speak?
I don't know what I have to say to you. Ah, this goddamn wig won't fit on your head.
You know it does.
Of course I know. I made it myself.
Would I not be
if
wearing
only I'd
the Sophia that you made so long ago?
If only I had foreseen that I made it for this occasion. Look at you. The happiest woman in London. Ridiculous. Throwing yourself away.
We both agreed that day that we must do what we have to take care of our lives. And I wanted you here because I need you, not him.
You need me. It doesn't look like you need me. But she's finally getting the wig adjusted.
I've always needed you. That week in Paris meant everything to me. If it were allowed, I would marry you instead of him.
That week in Paris is inscribed in my heart, not in yours, apparently. Or if it is, the ink is already fading.
I've asked before if I should throw this all away, and you have said no. You were the one that continued to tell me to make my life. I just need you here with me in this moment.
So I imagine the two of them are sitting in front of a large mirror. You are in your dress, the wig in place, and there is makeup on the table. So she takes some rouge and but doesn't put it on you, but on herself, looking at herself in the mirror, and you can see that she's very nervous doing that. And again, it's way too much on her face, but she still keeps doing it. I don't know what I should say to that. I have no words to express how cruelly you hurt me.
What can I say to that? But that love and hurt are entwined together. Can
What
we
can
not?
you say to? Sorry.
No, go ahead. Interrupt me.
What can you say to that? I can tell you what you can say. You can say no. The one single word that saves the entire situation. That single word, no. Say it. But
I
you will say
cannot.
yes.
I will.
I knew it. Well then, Miss Wilson, enjoy your last minutes as Miss Wilson. Your wig looks perfectly. You are beautiful, and I think this is goodbye forever.
I love you.
How can you say that? She turns around and slowly moves to the door, hoping that she will call her back.
She does not.
When the door closes, we can hear her footsteps and hear her cry.
And so donned perfectly in makeup, Sophia cannot cry. I think that's the end of the scene. Thank you, Ika. That was awesome.
Oh, that last
Yeah.
sentence.
Oh God.
Far out. All right. Well, we need to see whether or not Matilda will pay up, given what's in the memoir now.
Wow. Sophia, reckless. Yes, true. She broke her heart, and she does it again. So she thinks of the payment as a way of, not reopening that wound. So she just pays, because otherwise she would have to deal with that chapter in her life that she wants to be closed forever. So she puts some money in the envelope and seals it and knows it's for the best.
Awesome. Okay. So the active sister moves to Anne. The lover moves to Sophia, and this will be our last scene before we go into our ending scene. Yeah, so Leandro, you can roll just a D2.
Yeah. Okay.
Are we gonna have time to give feedback or whatever, since we have to leave at 1 o'clock on the dot?
Well, I'll still be on the line. For anyone who
I have a little wiggle room. I knew I couldn't play a whole new scene or anything.
Yeah.
Okay,
Totally.
I just wanted to make sure that we all had our chance to say what we needed to say. So.
Absolutely, yeah. No, look, for anyone who has time, I'll be here and we can have a proper debrief and a chat after the game. Totally.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I rolled a 2. That's Josephine.
Josephine.
Ooh.
Yay. All right. So Josephine and Anne haven't been in a scene, so do you want to give us a quick sense of what Anne wrote to Josephine?
Yes, I think it's it's kind of barbed. Well, I said barbed because I think they met when their relationship. I think it was a very young and tempestuous one. I think Anne kind of like really fell in love with this opera singer who's very vibrant and fiery and whatnot. And when it broke off, however it broke off, it yeah, Anna's older, and she's the eldest. And the thing is, she's always kind of been. I'm gonna use one of her traits. That she's jealous of, not jealous of the fact that her sister are having tragic, dramatic relationships, and she has to be the one to keep it all together. And I think Josephine was probably like the one time when she wasn't picking up after her sisters, and I think what the gist of what she writes to Josephine is that um, um, I think yeah, they also Josephine. Oh, jeez. I think it is very much we got up to some, not to get too vulgar, but we got up to some wild stuff. And back then, and it'll all come out while you're trying to set up this respectable career.
Cool. And do you want to see the beginning or the end of that relationship?
We get a vignette of how Josephine gets this letter, or are we moving on from that?
We won't do that because we've seen Josephine already.
Okay, all right. So let's just go straight to the end.
Straight to the end.
But then again,
Just in case it wasn't enough tempestuousness. Yeah. I love it. And yep, a D5.
Okay, that's it. Oh, genuine affection. Okay, all right. Let's end somewhere sweet. I think they both, because it flares out. I think this is backstage right before Josephine is about to give out what will be her breakout performance. I don't have an opera. Unless you have opera in mind, I don't watch opera. But yeah, I think it's right before, and I think maybe not in the dressing room, but yeah, maybe just backstage. And Anne's kind of lingered there, even though she probably shouldn't be. And she sees you, Josephine, and what are you wearing? How do you look?
So this is my breakout performance, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So she's Brazilian, and so she's got tanned skin, like a darker skin, and they've powdered her down above her dress, and like you kind of white-faced her a little bit. But in this performance, they've decided to brand her, and so she is taken off. She's not wearing any of that. Like, she is getting to be who she really is, and so she's I don't know operas either, so but I know that we've had a French theme here for a while, so maybe we can have shoot, I don't think I remember the guy's name, Jean-Paul Jean. Les Mis. Maybe we can do Les Mis. And I know that's kind of a play with singing in it, but whatever. Like, this will bring her vocal talents to the fore. And they so she's in. She somehow makes looking like she's wearing, like, these regular clothes beautiful somehow. And there's a part that that she's been having trouble singing, and you two have worked together, like you've encouraged her on certain parts, and so I think that she'll probably be looking at you since you are backstage when she needs that help.
Okay, I think I think this is right before right before you have to get in position, and we're going to like the one last bit, and well, I think once your last note starts, and I think I just say, "I'm gonna love you so much."
It has been so difficult. I love you both. I do not know what to do with those feelings.
I think I kind of hold your hands and like I think no matter how much you think, it's good to have those feelings, and I'm glad to have shared them with you.
But don't you see? Life forces you to make a choice. It would be easier for me to step in front of a stagecoach than it would be to choose between the two of you.
I know. I know what it's like to have to choose for the happiness of others over myself. But what I've learned is that doesn't mean didn't happen. It's always been there. I wouldn't have had it any other way.
Oh, Anne. And she stands closer to you, and she knows that any second now that her call is to come out. But even with everyone watching, and even some of the crowd being able to see the sun, at an angle, the off stage, she leans in, and it looks like she's going to kiss you, but she just goes for that hug.
I think you feel Anne kind of like wins a bit. I think she expected that kiss, but no, she relaxes and kind of just hugs you back real tight and just it will be amazing. Go do what you've done for me. Just capture all their hearts. Just kind of let's go. It's like you're gonna be so amazing.
And she runs off on the stage.
Oh my gosh. So I'm going to do something a bit different since we have pretty much reached the end of our time, and we're going to go into our ending scene. And our ending scene is going to be a scene in the present between Harriet and Josephine. And I'm going to ask Ike to play Josephine in this final scene in the present, because that was mentioned in Josephine's letter earlier.
No!
Yeah. So it actually ended up mechanically, this is the final scene that we got, but it actually fictionally was foreshadowed by complete accident. So happy accident there. So we're going to see that scene where Josephine shows up at Harriet's doorstep on Monday. And that's going to be our last scene.
Oh, okay. Is it okay if someone else plays that?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Josephine? I feel that's such a complex character, and I don't want to ruin it.
I don't think you would ruin it.
You wouldn't ruin it. I would consider it an honor if you took her from me, because I just played her, and well, whatever you would prefer.
I kind of need to recover as well. So.
If not, I will do it. Your choice.
Yes, please do it. It was such a great Josephine.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Sure, absolutely. Why am I so angry? Why am I so angry? So how does the final scene work then? Who sets it? And
So Harriet will set the scene.
Okay.
And that is always, and it's in the present in between those two people, and that's all the setup we get.
I think it is Monday, bright and early, and I think that Harriet got your letter and laughed it off, didn't think anything would happen. And then she hears you knocking at the door. But she doesn't expect it to be you, so she goes and just flippantly opens the door. It's rather early for a visit. Oh, Josephine. How lovely to see you.
And she's going to respond, but you can tell that something has happened to her voice. And she says, "Am I still welcome here?"
Of course, you're always welcome. And Harriet welcomes you into the foyer. What? You sound different. Are you all right?
You used to know everything about me. Our letters left nothing out. And then they ceased. I feared you ran out of wax, so I sent you some more. But still no response. I have changed. But I'm here about what has changed with you.
Are you upset that perhaps my feelings change so easily? I can't help the way that I feel. You know that much about me.
I hate that I was alone. There was no one else I could speak to because no one could know what had happened between us. And then you go and tell me you're going to tell the world? I'm angry because I was left without voice, and now you've stolen it from me.
Then perhaps you should tell your side of the story as well. Let your voice be heard, just like it's always meant to be. I've never been ashamed of our relationship, Josephine. Tell the story you want to, in your own way. Your voice is far more beautiful than mine could ever be. It's your right. But I won't be silenced either. Just as you shouldn't be.
They want me to write a new opera. It will be about us. And you will have all the ticket proceeds that you desire.
I appreciate that. And perhaps one day I'll be able to enjoy it live, even though I've lived it already.
Your seat will be held open for you for every performance.
I think Harriet gives a very solemn nod and walks back to the door and opens it. Tell the story you want to tell, Josephine. It's a beautiful story.
I had hoped when I came here that I could be angry with you, that I could get rid of all of this pain. But just as I welcomed you into my heart, you welcomed me into your home. If you ever wish to visit, please, you know where I live.
And you'll recognize the wax. I only use it for you. It hasn't gotten much use these days. Perhaps I'll change that.
Please, see that you do.
I think she sees Josephine out and watches Josephine leave.
Awesome. That
Yeah,
was
that was
lovely.
great.
That was really lovely. Okay, let's take a 2-minute break and then we'll come back and debrief. I think it's important to have that moment to breathe before we chat. So I'll see you guys in 2 minutes.